a community leader who's looking to really build your community through the power of email? It's the first chance you have to get in front of the right people, and you should make the most of it. So many community leaders take the template approach, and you've lost your community before they've even found you. How about crafting the perfect welcome series instead? You can grab my guide, Crafting the Perfect Welcome Series, at theaudienceconverter.com/giveaway. Discover the tips and tactics I use to help my clients get up to an 80% open rate. When people open those first few emails, they're more likely to continue opening your messages, engaging, and buying from you. Build your community the right way with a welcome series that converts. Grab your copy at theaudienceconverter.com/giveaway. Are you struggling with trying to figure out exactly what you need to do to bring in the right people at the right time with the right messaging? Well, welcome back to another episode. I am your host, Kimberly Weitkamp. I'm a marketing strategist and conversion copywriter. And today we are talking all about the Cultivate. I have introduced the 5C framework for successful online business success with marketing. And we've already talked about clarity and connection. And today we're going to talk about Cultivate. Now, you might be wondering, well, what does that have to do with right message, right time, right person? And I'm going to dive into that a little bit. Part of the struggle many of us find when working with our own marketing, when figuring out exactly what we need to create to be successful, is realizing that there's more than one piece to the client journey. I've talked about this before, but the client journey is essentially, look, they have to find you, then they have to decide they want to hear from you. Then you have to build the connection, you have to build the relationship, and then they'll be ready to work with you. However, most marketers, most marketing training, most articles around marketing revolve around two separate things. Number one is lead generation. How do you get the people? How do you get the people? How do you get the people? And number two is closing the sale. How do you get the sale? How do you get the sale? How do you get the sale? The problem is that there are many, many, many steps between getting people into your world and having them ready to buy from you. And all of those steps together combine to be the cultivate step. Now, here's what that means. Basically, few of us are ready to say yes to working with anyone when we first meet them, right? The popular analogy most people like to use is proposing on the first date, right? You've met somebody, it was a first date, maybe it was even a blind date, most likely, right? You went on a blind date, a friend set you up, you don't even know who this person is, you know nothing about them. And then they're like, great, it was wonderful to meet you, let's get married. Most of us aren't ready for that level of commitment yet. And the same is true when we talk about building out our coaching and entrepreneurial businesses. We are selling something very valuable. There are so many people out there in the world looking for your help. We've already talked about how to find them. And we've talked about how to get them into your world, how to connect with them, how to find them where they are so that you know the people you're talking with, the people who get into your world, they're people who can become your clients. They are a great fit to work with you. However, you're still kind of strangers. They know a little bit about you. Like maybe they know your name, maybe they know a little bit about your business, and maybe they realize, I don't know, you like blue socks, right? Or maybe they know you have a kid. Maybe they know you're married, right? They know the basic details, but that's it. And it's not necessarily enough for them to say, you know what? I am ready to hand over money to this person. I'm going to give them my credit card and I'm happy for them to charge it. What usually happens is they need to know a little bit more. They need to know more about the transformation you can provide, more about the knowledge and the wisdom you can bring to the relationship, more about you and who you are as a person. Remember, you are the only person in the world who is you. Nobody else can replace you. And while it's tempting for most of us to fall into the Mad Lib marketing trap, that's not what you want to happen. Mad Lib marketing, as I've mentioned before, is essentially where we see something working for another person in our industry. And we're like, you know what? That's perfect. I'm just going to take what they have, replace my name, the name of the program, and one or two other things. And then I'm just going to, swipe and deploy is what it's called as well. But the thing is it doesn't sound like you. Or if you take a template and it's got 6 blanks and all you do is fill in the 6 blanks and you don't change any of the other words, again, it doesn't sound like you. It doesn't build that relationship. Building the relationship, cultivating your audience, cultivating your future clients, that's where the real power comes in. One of the top questions I get from so many people is email marketing dead? Right? I hate sending emails. I hate reading emails. Nobody opens my emails. Is email marketing dead? And the answer is no. Because when you treat email the way it's meant to be treated as a communication channel for you to have one-to-one conversations, it's a completely different ballgame. And the way you do that is by cultivating. When you create an experience for your brand new subscribers, for your brand new people in your world, whether that's they've bought a low ticket course or they've enrolled in a free course or they're in a membership program or they're in a free membership or they're on a platform with you or they're just listening to your podcast, whatever that looks like. When you build a solid relationship building strategy for them, that's where the value is. When somebody feels they know you, when somebody feels they can trust you, when somebody is like, you know what, I like this person. I like the way they talk. I like the way they explain things. I like the way they make it easy and simple for me to understand. When they do that, that's where the power comes in. And here's what I mean by that. Oftentimes, we're afraid to be ourselves in business. We're like, well, what happens if someone doesn't like me? I get all kinds of questions from people around this. They're like, can I say that? Can I make that opinion known? Can I own that? Can I curse in my emails? I'm afraid of turning people away. The reality is, even if you have somebody who's an ideal person to work with you, they may not like you. But guess what? If they don't like you, they're not a fit to work with you. You need to be yourself. If you try and be somebody else in your marketing, then you have to be that other person when you work with people. And that is very confusing and it's hard and it's stressful and it's difficult and it doesn't create the best experience for your clients. Instead, you want to be natural. You want people to know that, yeah, when I hire you, I'm going to like working with you because I've liked what I've seen in your marketing. I've said this before and I'm going to say it again. Your marketing should be a preview of what it's like to work with you. And that's where cultivation comes in. Now, you might be wondering, well, okay, I think I understand. I have to talk to people in between, but how do I do that? How do I cultivate people? There's all kinds of ways to cultivate. But mostly, what I want you to focus on is building the relationship. Now, you may not know the name of every single person on your email list or every single person who listens to your podcast, but the idea is they need to know who you are. They need to know that if they hand over their credit card, not only do they trust you to charge it, but they also trust that you can help them get the results they're looking for. So, how do you do that? Well, the first thing you can do is your 3 personal items. This is one of the things I love talking about. In case you haven't realized it, I love email marketing. I love everything about it. And I'm a huge fan. And a lot of people are like, well, I'm worried about what to say. So I get 2 schools of thought. One is, I don't want to bother my people. So I'm only going to email them when I have something to offer. The problem is, there's no relationship there. They joined your list because they wanted to hear more from you. And then you proceeded to not talk to them for 4 months until you wanted to ask them for money. Now, in your mind, you're saying, well, I don't want to bother them until I have something really valuable for them. And then when I have something really valuable, I want to let them know about this opportunity. Great mindset. However, it doesn't work in online marketing because people are bombarded with information from all kinds of avenues. And if you don't talk to them for 4 months, all they have to go on is that first email they got from you or that first connection point they had with you. They don't have anything else to go on. So it's a really big struggle for them. They're like, well, wait a minute. Who is this person? I don't remember. So you want to build the relationship first. You want to let them know who you are. You want to kind of invite them into your world so they can get a better sense of whether or not they're a good fit to work with you. So how do you do that? So number one, a lot of people, of course, worry about, well, I don't want to bother my people. So I want you to turn that on its head. And instead of thinking of bothering your people, think of how can I help my people today? And when you come from that mindset, when sitting down to create your marketing, that changes everything. When you're looking at, well, how can I build the relationship with them? How can I help them? How can I give them value? It changes your complete mindset. Absolutely. And the second half, of course, is people are like, okay, well, I get it. I need to email them. I need to like be in front of people. I need to be more consistent with my marketing. But, I want to have a separation, right? I don't want to have to talk about all of my personal business in business. And here's the thing, you don't have to. I get people all the time, well, I don't want to talk about my kids. I want to talk about religion. I don't want to talk about my spouse. I don't want to tell people I don't have a spouse. And I don't want to tell people I don't have kids. You don't have to. What I want you to do is come up with 3 topics you're happy to talk about with a stranger. Now you might be thinking, well, I don't want to talk about anything with a stranger. Think about this. You were at an airport, you met somebody at a random event, and somehow we got onto the subject of maybe it was hockey, maybe it was science fiction, maybe it was your favorite TV show, maybe it was the fact that you hate TV, whatever that was. Think of the 3 things that you like to do that you talk about a lot with your friends, but you'd also be happy to talk about with people who are just kind of getting to know you. That might be your love of hiking. It might be your love of travel. It might be the fact that you love making your own clothes. It doesn't matter. But what matters is you are making yourself a real person and you're building what we call that know, like, and trust factor fast because you are being open with them. You're letting them see behind the quote unquote curtain, right? You're going to let them know exactly who you are and how you can help them. And of course, you want to give them resources. You want to give value. So other ways to do that is to guide them to another free gift, guide them to podcast episodes, guide them to places where you speak on particular topics, guide them to an article you've written, guide them to other articles that you haven't written but are related to how you help people. There are so many different ways to build the relationship. But the number one is to be yourself, to be personable, right? Let people get to know you. We call it the know, like, and trust factor. And it starts with getting to know you. You are a person. You are not just some entity or an avatar that's accompanying all the comments on a thread on social media. You're an actual, real, live, breathing person, and they need to know that. So decide what your 3 things are, right? Decide what your 3 things are and sprinkle them throughout your marketing. Include them in your marketing. Let people know. Yeah, you know what? Today, I was reading this book. I'm reading this fantastic book, actually. It's about pirates in space, but they are like privateers of the old world in which they have a letter from the government saying that they're allowed to be doing what they're doing. It's intriguing. And it's not about the pirate story. It's about the science fiction aspect, right? I love the fact that they're talking about the Navy and how it operates in space and, how that kind of developed. I love world building and science fiction. And what I love about it as well is that these are still real people, right? Yes, it's happening in space. Yes, it's futuristic, but there's still real people with real problems doing real person things. And that's kind of what you want to do with your audience as well. You're still a real person doing real people things with a real people life, right? You're not some untouchable something or other that they could never hope to talk with. You're a real person. You're a person who loves things. You're a person who does things. You're a person who helps people transform in so many different ways, but you're also a person who hates almonds, or a person who loves orange juice, or a person who likes to grow their own produce, right? All of those are different things that you could introduce into your marketing to build that know, like, and trust factor. And I also want you to take a moment when we're talking about cultivation is what other resources do people need to know, right? One of the reasons why someone's not going to hand over their credit card for a $5,000 program when all they've gotten is a checklist from you is because they don't know what you can do. They don't know what you can do. So what are some resources you can give them to showcase what you can do? Testimonials, case studies, articles you've written, podcasts you've been on, summits you've appeared on, free training programs. What are some of those resources you can give to people to build that connection to show that you care about their outcome? You care about their success and you want to give them the tools and resources to achieve that. Now, I'm not saying you have to hand over your entire system and give it away for free. Absolutely not. This is the step by step. These are the baby steps. What are those simple things that most people don't realize they need to know before they can work with you? How can you help them get that knowledge? How can you help them along their journey? How can you guide them from, I'm a stranger, I don't know who you are or what you do, to this is what I do. This is how I help people, to here's some more information about how I help people, to, okay, are you ready now to work with me so I can help you? But you have to guide them on that path. And that's where the cultivation part comes in. Cultivation is all about building the relationship with your customers and your clients. And when you build a solid relationship, not only are you going to start seeing an increase in conversion rates at the end, but you'll also be creating people who want to stick around for the long term, which ties into another part of the 5Cs. So today we've talked about cultivation, part of the 5C framework for successful online businesses. And really, at the end of the day, cultivation is all about building that relationship with your subscribers to create a fantastic experience until they're ready to say yes to working with you, right? We have been talking about cultivation on the podcast. I'm so thankful that you joined me today to hear about this topic. And of course, if you have questions, please do reach out to contact@theaudienceconverter.com. And if you want a way to build cultivation really quickly, check out theaudienceconverter.com/giveaway and get the free guide on how to create a welcome series to get more opens, more clicks, and more engagement from email number 1. That is a great way for you to start building that cultivation really quickly, is with a welcome series. And I detail the tips and tricks on how to write that series for yourself. And there will also be a link on how you might get some help on doing it yourself. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of podcast. Do be sure to check out theaudienceconverter.com/giveaway to grab your free guide. And the information for the workshop is, of course, in the show notes as well. Until next time, keep calm and cultivate your audience.